So thank you so much, everybody, for taking the time to come along and join with us all. So here we are, because of the Lord Jesus Christ, who sent his disciples out to preach the gospel and to heal the sick. And we are privileged to work in that long line of people called to be a Christian witness through doctors and dentists in every community and in every nation. And you'll all be very familiar now with our 8 main strategic goals, which are listed here on the slide. I'm not going to go through these, but I want to focus very much on the first 3, which are our main focus in ICMDA. What we're about is establishing new national movements, about strengthening existing movements, and about developing servant leaders, because we believe that empowering, mentoring, developing, and training leaders, particularly young leaders, is the key both to establishing new movements and strengthening existing movements. And so this is the setup of ICMDA. We've got some members of our board and our CIO trustees here today. Then we've got the CEO and staff members. We have 6 staff now and 6 contractors, and the senior team who plan this conference and meet every month. And then there's you, the field workers, the regions, and of course the national movements, working through publications, events, training, and support. And what I want to focus on this morning is just to bring you up to date with our main global priorities for 2023. And these are supporting field workers, holding the World Congress, welcoming new movements, running the global webinars, running training tracks, publishing doctors' life support, running the Diploma in Family Medicine, and continuing to support the CMAU in Ukraine, or helping the Christian Medical Association of Ukraine to support Ukraine. We're going to hear from Rudy a bit later on that. So let me just run through those 8 things. Just memorable picture. Wasn't it a wonderful time we had in UAE together? And we have doubled our field workers from 33 at the beginning of 2019 to 66 now from 50 countries. And it's a major priority. A big part of our budget goes into supporting you to travel, to run conferences, to train and be involved. And we're very happy to welcome 3 new field workers who've joined us since our line. So Timotei is with us today from Romania. Welcome, Timotei, and Zainak and Islombek. I'm not sure if they're with us now, but 2 new Eurasia ARs as well. So 3 new ARs. Gloria is also with us, who's going to be taking up the post formally in West Africa at the time of the World Congress as well, and also Courage from West Africa. So welcome to all of you folk. So then there's the World Congress. Our last time was in Hyderabad in India in 2018. When we had 850 from 84 countries. We've already got almost 850 booked for this conference, and we're going to hear in much more detail from Augustine a bit later about how plans are going for the World Congress, what we can do, what we can pray for. New members. So we started back in 1963 with just 6 national associations. It took us till 1982 to get to 17. And then things have gradually increased since then. By Hyderabad in India, we had 84. And our dream was that we might have 100 by 2023, Tanzania, to welcome into membership. And in actual fact, people have been working incredibly hard. And really my thanks, particularly to the AEOs and the regional secretaries who've been working with the national movements and encouraging them to get ready to apply for formal membership. And we have actually had 20 new membership applications this year. We've still got to process these and go through them, but we are really overwhelmed by how many we have had who've applied. There's so you can see, particularly from Eurasia, where there are 4 groups, from Francophone Africa, where there are 5 groups, but most of the regions of the world, there are new groups applying. There is one area there, China should not be there. China hasn't yet applied, but there are 20 altogether who have, and we pray with those as we work through the final process. The global webinars continue. We're nearly at 150 of those now, with over 100,000 views, either live or on YouTube afterwards, and they continue every week with good attendance and good feedback from those. So that was one of the blessings of COVID for us. Another huge blessing of COVID, of course, was the training tracks. When we realized that we couldn't do in-person training for 2 years, we started to do it online. We began with bioethics, confident Christianity, and Sydenham leadership, all of them 10-week long courses with adult learning methods, between 8 and 12 people usually on a course. And then we've been repeating them every 6 months in a new generation. And we've had over 900 people now from over 100 countries have been involved in a training track, either as a trainee or a facilitator. And we're now in our 6th generation this first half of the year of training tracks. Our hope was to run another 40 training tracks this year altogether. And in the first half of the year, we've got 24 already up and running or about to start. So we're very confident by God's grace of achieving that. And thanks so much to all the facilitators who've been involved and make this possible. The Doctor's Life Support Volume 5 has been written. It's going to be published fairly shortly in English, and it will be available at the World Congress in June. And thanks to Sarah David and Steve Fouch, who've done the editing. We're currently talking with a printer, and we're hoping that it will be printed in the next 2 to 3 weeks or so. We've also got 8 different translation teams working on it. We will not have these available for the time of the World Congress, but we're hopeful that we'll have it in 8 other languages by the time this year is out in 2023. That's never been done before. We've never had more than 2 or 3 translations. And thanks again to the coordinators of those translation teams who are working so hard at the moment to make that possible. The Diploma of Family Medicine, which we started again, yet another blessing of COVID. When we couldn't do some things, God provided others for us. And the first group started in May 2020. They have just graduated. Amongst them are 2 of our field workers, Alex and David Sawadogo, who we're going to hear from a bit later. 25 graduated just recently. The second cohort, who started in 2021, 37 students about to do their final exams. The third cohort, 47 students about to do their first year exams. And we're open for bookings for the 4th cohort. We've had 45 applications so far. So altogether on the course or finished, we've got 109 students from 39 countries. And this year we're translating the course into French, Spanish, and Russian. We've got volunteer teams working on that and plan to launch it in those 3 languages next year. And then finally, we're delighted to have Rudy, a new field worker, and also the director of CMA Ukraine, who's going to speak to us in a little while. And the Ukraine project has been a big focus for us. We've managed to raise $800,000. We've sent about 100 trucks and lorries to Ukraine so far, and the work just keeps on going. Here we are, 54 anesthetic machines from London hospitals, which we rejuvenated. They're now out in Ukraine, each one of them worth about $50,000, we think. The Nightingale hospitals, which was set up for COVID patients in the UK, but the equipment, most of it was never used. It's all brand new. We were offered as much as we could carry to Ukraine in 2 weeks. We managed to get 31 lorry loads out of that warehouse. We're negotiating and hoping that there might be more, but this is hundreds of beds and mattresses and so on have gone, millions of pounds worth of stuff. And then we're on a project for medical backpacks now for people right on the front line who are tending to wounded soldiers or civilians. We've sent 20 of these already. They're worth £1,000 each, and we've had a grant which is enabling us to send another 120, and we're just getting those together now. In terms of finances, these are the figures for 2022, so this is last year, you can see we had a total of income of almost £400,000. That does not include the World Congress, and it doesn't include Ukraine, which together were another £500,000 or £600,000. So for those two things, so almost £400,000. It comes from national subscriptions. You can see 126,000, and donations from individuals. Those are the main sources of our income. We get some income also from the Diploma of Family Medicine and some gifts from trusts and other sources. And how do we spend it? Well, we spent almost as much, £375,000 last year. Most of this goes on field work. So it's providing your grants to travel, bursaries for that, covering your expenses, 165,000. There's 142 goes on the staff and the central office, the board, all those things related to that. And then a big chunk, 48,000, goes on the Diploma of Family Medicine. And then there's some money on training as well. Where does it come from? These are our national subscriptions. And you can see they're all means tested on the basis of the number of members and the World Bank ranking of the country. So this means that over half of all our subscription income comes from the United States and the United Kingdom. And then most of the rest comes from about 8 other countries listed here: Canada, Norway, Netherlands, and so on. So mainly countries in Europe and East Asia, which are very wealthy, and then other members contribute. And we believe that's the right way to do it, that those who are blessed with financial resources should have the responsibility to give more. And in terms of the donation income, again, it's very much the United States, 27%, the United Kingdom. So these are individual doctors and dentists who give, and then donations from the rest of the world as well, which make up that sum. So that gives you hopefully a good overview of the big picture of what's happening in ICMDA. We've got just a little time, perhaps for 2 or 3 questions before we go on to the field worker testimony. So if you've got any questions on any of that, then just please raise your hand and we'll come to you.
Well, if everybody's being shy, I just wanted to ask about the MENA region. When you talk about new members, we've been receiving the news over the last month or so about the different Middle East fellowships being formed, and yet I see that at the moment none will be ready for application at the World Congress. What's the likely progress on that of the MENA region countries?
So we have countries with well-established national groups, and they are the ones, what we call our orange countries. They're the ones that are invited to apply to join ICMDA this year. And so the 20 all come from that. And then there are our blue countries, which are our new contacts and the beginning of national groups. And if you've been following on the WhatsApp, you'll know that we've made recently new contacts in a number of countries, including Morocco, Bahrain, the UAE, of course, Qatar, Saudi Arabia as well. And we're in discussion with those groups, and we're seeing those at the moment. I mean, it may be possibly that one of them will come up in the last minute, but at the moment we're seeing these as being candidates for joining ICMDA at the next World Congress, which will be in South Korea in 2026. And there are probably another, together with the 20 applying this year, there are probably another 25 or 30 who are in the blue or early orange category, like those new countries. So it's been fantastic, but they're at a very early stage. Most of them are just groups of people in fellowship. They've not yet got to the point of forming a national group, writing a constitution, electing leadership, and so on, which is the stage you really need to be on to become a formal member of ICMDA. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah,
but yes,
thank you, very helpful.
Huge amount of growth.
Thank you.